Hey guys, this is Jazz. I'm going to be making kind of like a small, like a sort of a series, but more of like a vlog of the next 10 days. I actually applied to be a Spanish interpreter, and I was not actually expecting them to actually respond, but I have an interview on the 26th. So I'm going to be making this, I actually decided to make this series all the way up until then. Today is like technically I want to say that it is like not like, if you're on the West Coast, then I guess it's like still the 15th, but on the East Coast it is the 16th. So that's when it starts. I will be speaking completely in Spanish. The only time I'm going to be speaking English or any other language is if I have to, like for dealing with other people, like my parents or anything like that. But I'm going to try my best to think in Spanish. I've seen videos where people do like how I learned Spanish or how I learned whatever language in like 7 days or like a month or something like that, which is great, because I know that sometimes people, they want to learn a language and they want to see how much they can learn in a short period of time. Cool. And a lot of times I notice that people are very academic about it, especially, like I said, if you're an absolute beginner and they've got like their notepad and their pens and they're like taking down vocabulary and jotting down like grammar notes and things like that. So I'm not really going to do that. I'm going to be learning like a baby, because I'm already at like B1, B2 level for Spanish, because I can understand it really well. I've been learning Spanish for about 3 years now. It's my third language. So I'm going to be learning like a baby. I'm going to try to make it as easy as possible to create like some sort of immersion, like environment for me to speak or to learn the language, because obviously right now I can't travel, and so I'm trying to create that environment for myself. So I've actually come up with a strategy that I'm going to be implementing over the next 10 days. So I will be sharing that with you. So main thing is because I'm already at B level, like there's like A1, A2, B1, B2, and then C level. So C level is fluent. So when you're like between like B or 2 level, that means you're at a point where English doesn't have to be present for you to understand or be taught the language. So when I say that, so I'm not going to be looking at beginner materials. This is for people who are looking for who are kind of like me, where I'm not very studious with the language. I have to have applicable use of a language. So with that being the case is I'm going to be basically, so over 10 days, I'm basically going to be making these videos of just showing you what I typically do. Because I don't learn languages academically, with the notepad and the pencil and vocab words and grammar notes and things like that. Like I said, I'm at a point where I've already learned it for 3 years. So if you're really not an academic type of person, this is a really great video video series I want to make for you, because to be honest with you, I mean, that's how people learn their native languages. That's how people become fluent. When I first learned English as a baby, I didn't learn it in school, as a 1-month-old baby. I was surrounded by it because my parents spoke it, my relatives spoke it. Next thing I know, I'm imitating them, and I start stating my first word, and then other words, and then phrases follow, and the next thing you know, I'm saying complete thoughts, and that's how it works. So I'm basically going to create this series so that you guys can have a sense of how to learn a language naturally, from someone who has learned it, after a certain amount of time. So I'm going to share. So with day 1, I'm going to share with you my strategies, because this is going to be the last day that I'm going to be speaking to you in English on this series. Okay. So first thing is my phone will be in Spanish. I am using my phone to film this, so I can't show it to you. But yeah, my phone is going to be in Spanish because I use that device more than anything else. Podcasts. So because again, this is not for like beginners, or at least like people, like I said, people who aren't really academic, is that I'm trying to eliminate English as much as possible. So I'm not going to be listening to podcasts like, a Spanish Pod 101, or there's like Duolingo has a podcast. It's like they have Spanish, but then they have the translation as well, and I don't really like that. I don't want to be translating. I want to learn to get to a point where I know the language. I want to get to a point where I'm not hesitating. I want to get to, I'm like I said, I understand it. My speaking gets kind of jumbled up but that's because I'm multilingual. So that happens anyone who's multilingual. And then trying to and the other part of that is eventually you learn to compartmentalize. So that kind of comes up like if you're speaking one language for a longer period of time. So I'd be listening to things like CNN on Espanol. There is TED on Espanol if you love TED Talks. And there's like plenty of others. I'm still going to be looking for new ones, and then I'll probably post them on my website under the podcast recommendations. So trying to find things for all skill levels. So again, and I mean like C-level podcasts, like not like like we're going to teach you how to say such and such in Spanish. No, I mean like I am a native Spanish speaker. I'm speaking in Spanish about a topic that's important. Also like news, like one of my favorite news segments is France 24, France 24. It is a very good news segment. They have it available in French, Spanish, Arabic, and English. So I will be paying attention to the Spanish one, obviously. So there's that. And then there's also thinking in Spanish. So I'm going to try my best to think as much as possible, because when you think about it, it becomes a part of you. So I'm trying to make sure that I'm living and breathing in Spanish. Okay. And the only time I'll be using English would be around my relatives or my parents, because they don't speak Spanish. So those are the only times, or even meetings or work or things like that. Yes, I have to use English for that. But anything else, I have to think about, making sure I'm forcing myself to think about it. Like watching like videos, like I love to watch like little cartoons like in other languages, because it's simple and it's easy to comprehend, and it's fun and colorful. So with that being said, is I typically will I have notebooks that are all one for every language that I speak. So usually if I feel like I want to write something down, I will jot them down. So I'm trying to make sure that I'm writing as much as possible, like a to-do list. Even if you don't know like certain words in that language, you can always just reference it and think, okay, I don't know this word, I'll skip over it, and then I highlight it, and sometimes I'll go back and look at it if I really, really need to use that word. And then finding videos like from like people teaching Spanish in Spanish. So, there are videos where, they teach Spanish like for beginners, where it's like apple, manzana, things like that. No. So there are a couple that I've been looking at. I will probably also post that under my recommendations for YouTube channels that I have on our website as well, if you want to check that out. But it's like, look, when you're at B1, B2 level, again, like I said, you don't really need English to learn. So the main thing is just them teaching you the language in the language. It doesn't get any better than that. So I think that's super helpful. Writing my notes, and also like reaching out to Spanish speaking friends. I have some friends that I do have in Mexico. I have an old roommate who is from Argentina. I have several people that I know in Los Angeles who speak Spanish. And so it's just, there's plenty of people to find in order to speak Spanish with, so that I'm still able to use it with other people and then have a back and forth conversation. Because it's one thing to absorb information, you have to actually apply it. So not only that, but absorbing all the information and then texting and communicating with someone, because that's how you test what you know. It's like, if you know all this, it's one thing to know all this information, but you have to like go out there and actually speak to people. And sometimes and like I said, I've done this about like 8 different times. So like when I was first learning French, I was really shy to speak to native speakers, because I'm like, I don't know. And then by the time I got to Spanish, I was thinking, okay, well at this point I'm kind of have experience with like whether or not, like I have no shame in embarrassing myself if I say the wrong thing, because typically they're not judging you. They're like, oh, that's cute. This is what you're really supposed to say, and carry on. It is what it is. And a lot of times they're used to that, especially anyone who comes from a country that's not in the United States, or just anywhere. When they encounter people that are learning their language, even for me as an English speaker, and I've met people from like from Italy or from Brazil who are like, oh, I'm learning English, and they're like, I'm like, oh, that's so funny you said that, but that's actually not grammatically correct, or whatever, but I still understand what they said, and I'm not judging them. So extend the same courtesy. So it's more so as when you can text or find other people who speak the language. And I also have some resources on our website as well, if you're looking to find tips on how to make friends and what apps that I use particularly to find those friends. And I also know someone who's actually in Colombia, doesn't speak any English. Like, so that's perfect. That's perfect. Doesn't get any better than that. So it's more so as you test what you know. So if you know that this is how you say something, or this is how you've been learning how to say it, test it out on someone who's a native speaker, because then if they respond a certain way to you, it's like, oh yeah, they understood what I said. Or if they give you a response that's not what you asked, or not what you said, that means that something's wrong there. So you can kind of see how that works out with native speakers. And then obviously with social media, and obviously with this video series, I do want to be able to, this is kind of to keep me accountable, but just being able to, I don't know, make videos in Spanish and then see how that works out. These videos, how I've done these with my Saturday Talk series, like before it went on YouTube, but before when I used to do like 1-minute videos of me spontaneously talking about a subject, I had subtitles that were in the language, so you can actually read what I was saying, with a little bit of like unknown words like highlighted here and there. So I'm going to probably be doing something like that as well on this series as well. So I hope that it helps. And so this is day 1. From now on, this is actually the last time you will see me speak in English. So we'll see how this goes.